I had no idea it could be this fun. I thought I was just trying to be good enough, and I was trying to behave the right way and be accepted in the circle. And so now they just come like, Pastor Chris.
It's the difference between hitting the notes and playing the music.
Yes, come on. That's a good analogy. I like that.
You know. So what happens in your life? I mean, you have got the gig everybody else wants.
I do.
Okay, you are you were a Ramsey personality with our bud Dave Ramsey. You're, doing the books, doing the podcast. Part of all of that Ramsey machine that we're familiar with around here, and we both know and love Dave a great deal. And you go off and start a church. And it's like, we're all wondering, no. We who are in the church, we want to be where you are. and you're leaving that to go start a church. So how in the world did you end up in Columbia, Tennessee, starting a church?
Yeah, it's I do consider both of them ministry. One is a little bit more of a Monday through Friday ministry, and one's more of a Monday through Friday plus Saturday and Sunday ministry, 7 days a week. But I see them both as ministry, but I think what it came down to was I really do feel called to the local church. My role at Ramsey was so stinking fun. My time there was so valuable. The things that I got to do and the things I got to be a part of, and even the impact through curriculum or the impact through big stage events, great life experience. And what I learned from Dave and what I learned from the board and through their amazing leaders was just incredibly valuable. But it came down to, at the end of the day, I had to wrestle with, Chris, I've called you to the local church. And the way I justify it at the beginning is my role was very support the local church oriented at Ramsey Solutions. And as I got, just through time, it got a little bit more of Chris just, going to events, citywide events, and which were so fun and exhilarating, great for my ego. But I felt this the void of this is not local church oriented. This is great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my calling. And so I had to be true to that. So next thing you know, I'm a lead pastor in Columbia.
Yeah, but you didn't start as a lead pastor of a church mission. There was for lack of a better term, there's a youth group.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You kind of started the well kind of backwards.
Yeah. Well, not on purpose. I think it's just my kids' age goes into this.
Right.
My kids, I'm going to go back not 4 years. Our church is 4 years old, but I'll go back 6 years. My kids were, somewhere in middle school, high school. I have no idea now, but they were younger. And we were new to Columbia. We'd moved from Franklin, Tennessee, and they were kind of intimidated to go to a youth group. And so I said, you know what, let's do this. With your new school, I don't want you to feel like you have to get entrenched in a new school and a new youth group. If you get some kids together from school and bring them to the house, I don't know, 6. I think we gave them a minimum of 8 kids.
Right.
We'll just treat that as a youth group, and we'll lead them and pour into them, and they'll be like your little youth group.
Right.
Didn't even think. This is when I worked at Ramsey when this was happening. Yeah. I wasn't thinking about launching a church at all. Well, those 6 or 8 turned into 10 or 16, 12, 16 rotating, and we just really, really loved them well and loved spending time with them. We just fell in love with that age group. Well, we did build some influence with that demographic, and so when we launched the church, there was a time where we had to build out the building, and the building was not ready yet for the critique of an adult's eye.
That's right.
But the forgiveness of a youth group, we were in this building that was, I'm just going to go ahead and say, far from safe.
Yeah.
But we were in there doing broken office chair relays, and we were doing, these weird games that were so unsafe. But that grew into 16 and 18 and then 30, then 40. And so we had a 60-person youth group before we launched the church. So it was kind of funny. So when we were about, maybe 5 weeks out from launching the church with adults, we asked them, hey, would you, I forget what we slogan, pick 6 or choose 6, or they're willing to, for 6 weeks, they'd be the ones who did all the volunteering because we didn't have any adults.
Right.
I didn't do a whole like core group and like everything you're supposed to do in church planning. I had probably like 10 adults in my pocket for some of the higher level leadership.
Okay, but were those adults connected to you or to their children connected to you?
Their children.
Okay, yeah. Anybody who loves my child,
yes,
well, I love.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually trusted me yet, but they trusted what I did with their kids. Yeah. So there was kind of indirect loyalty there at the time, or I don't know if loyalty is the right word, but they were willing to, in that first 3 months or whatever, just to pour in. So yeah, the church literally launched and was ran by teenagers. The only place I had adults is when like a legal, like in a classroom, I need to have someone over 18 but they were out there the first time guest tent. They were the ones that were greeting at doors. They were the ones that were checking kids in. They were running the church like legitimately. And today we're 4 years later and we're going back to school and we'll probably be around 250 youth. And so we're having a blast. They're so fun. They are the heartbeat of our church.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happens when adults show up and it's all teenagers?
Well, this past weekend, it was funny because somehow it came out. Oh, it was Backpack Sunday.
Yeah.
We were giving away backpacks. And I don't know when everyone's listening to this, but at this time of recording this, it was Backpack Sunday on this last Sunday. And Holly just, ironically, my wife, said, hey, would anyone that's in middle school or high school stand up? And then she said, if you're a young adult, stand up. And it was the first time I actually got a visual of how young we are.
Right.
And it was, I'd say 40% of the auditorium stood up.
Wow.
They were all college age or younger.
Wow.
And it's funny because Holly and I are 47 and 43. And if you were to take a median age of our church, I actually think it's our age because we do have a bunch that are 40s. We have a bunch that are 50s. We have a bunch that are 60s and even 70s. But it's 40%. Yeah, and I think our congregation loves it. It's fueled our church. It's provided a ton of vision. I think everybody really, really loves it. It's whenever I cast vision about the next generation, I'm not asking for an applause, but an applause happens. And we're actually not a church that's like applauding me every 5 seconds. That's not our vibe. But whenever I talk about next gen, man, our place goes nuts. So and they're the first ones to do everything. Every time I'm stretching everyone theologically, I stretch everyone theologically with maybe a new revelation or something that's newer to our congregation. I start it with the youth because of the youth, you don't have to de-teach before you teach.
Right.
So it's so fun. They grab onto it. They actually are leading our church. They're going places theologically first before our adults do. I don't know. It's just so much fun.
I think I remember reading something like a little child shall lead them or something. I think that's somewhere. Somebody wrote that
There's
down
this old
somewhere.
book.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with that. What were the challenges of teaching and training young adults at that scale, that fast?
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges was reaching different types of teens. So in the beginning, when we had 60, we were very heavily focused towards the athlete. And so if we had a weakness, if I were to go pick it apart and really have some regrets, that our artist or one that's a little bit more introverted or one's a little bit shy or insecure, we're all insecure, but it's something where I just saw them in the corner, couldn't really engage, didn't really want to play dodgeball, didn't want to play a basketball tournament. And so we were really weak on that. That's been a challenge. So we have been intentional to have an art station and a video game station and foosball and ping pong and just a place where you can do arts and crafts and a place if you just want to be social, a karaoke area. So we've created some more areas so we can be, that's been really hard because Holly and I we played a lot of sports in high school, so we just naturally navigate. My kids are athletes, so we did a poor job with that, but that's been one big one. Another one is financial. It's been a big strain a lot of churches say that they value youth and next generation, but if you look at their budget, they're being hypocritical. They don't. It's like 0.01% of their budget. And you're like, you do not value it.
Yeah, right.
You value where your money goes. And so for us, we put a lot of money into it. Well, the bad side of that is a lot of the youth that are coming
don't tithe.
Well, they don't tithe.
Yeah.
And actually, we've become an outreach where their families don't tithe. They drop their kids off.
Right.
2 hours later, they come pick them up because this is a great thing. Or all the kids want to go to it. But it was easy for their kids to jump social circles and like jump wherever they were going to church before and join this youth group because they can still go to that church on the weekends. But parents, even if they do want to go to our church, they're not going to leave a 20-year friend circle to like jump churches because of preference or because that's where their kid goes. So we've been able to reach the teens really, really well, but it's been a little bit more challenging. And I love that. If they're loyal to their church and they've been there for years, they stay there. That's great. But it has created a financial burden. Yeah, quite a bit actually.
Okay. Yeah. What surprised you out of that process?
Well, I think one of the biggest surprises is the few that get really jacked up about next gen. They're willing to invest. So some of our bigger checks, if you will, have been around. Hey, I want to we got a 6-figure check in like our 4th month of the church that went towards a student center in the back. I just referenced ping pong tables and karaoke. That was one person that stepped up and gave a 6-figure check to say, I cast the vision for a student center in the back. This is when we had 60 people. And I cast a vision of 220, 250. And they're like, I'm all in. Here's a 6-figure check. And we built out that area. And here we are at 250. So I think it surprised me how compelling that is from a vision standpoint.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't go for that. I wasn't a strategy. It's who I am. It was natural, but that's been a nice surprise.
Yeah. Well, what we talk about at Engaged Church Network is, one, knowing your community, knowing your church and knowing your community. And knowing in the community there is this knot demographically of young adults, teenagers.
Yeah.
Who need to be reached. And once you begin to reach that, then the resources flow because you're doing some kind of good.
Yep.
And the community sees that. And some of these members, not members, who will support the work because they see the life change happening.
Yeah, they've really gotten behind. It's not really numbers because we don't really talk numbers a whole lot. I know this is kind of a leadership space here, so I feel like there's an interest in like you guys being able to like actually visualize what I'm talking about. But what has been motivating and compelling to the donor has been the stories and the life change. Countless baptisms and miracles. Literally, like someone got shot 11. One of our guys got shot 11. One of our students, a senior, got shot 11 times. Was in the hospital forever. And we prayed like crazy as a youth group. I didn't even take it to the whole church. I wanted the youth to own this. And they owned it. Man, they prayed like crazy. Can I tell you that kid lived? And not only did he live, he was not saved. He was semi-involved in gang activity. And he showed up at the next Easter, got saved, got baptized, and now he serves at the church. And he still has bullets in him. Like he can't play basketball. He just walks around. And that's just, I got story after story after story. And when I tell people about that story, not even with the like motive to like raise funds, they're just like, you watch them, they lock in. They're, how can I invest in this?
Right.
Especially when it comes to like camps and stuff. I'm like, how does a 3-year-old church take 100 people to camp? We can't afford this. I'll make 5 phone calls, and it's like, sure, 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand. You're like, and it just happens. And I think people are really compelled. They know that our future's in their hands, and they're not the next generation. They're the now generation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm watching them. They're leading their schools. I'm watching them bring teachers. They're out evangelizing. They're literally changing their ball teams. They're changing their classrooms. They're changing the hallways. And for me, I just believe in them. Yeah. I think there's the one thing that's like, they can detect when someone says they believe in them, and they can detect when you actually do. Yeah.
This, somebody was telling me that this is the most marketed to generation in history.
Yes.
Which gives them really, really sensitive radars.
Yeah.
And if you're BSing them Baptist stuff, if you're
well played, that's a veteran right there, folks. That's a veteran.
So they are real fast.
Yeah.
To call you out on that.
And they have no problems telling you.
Tell me the story that broke your heart, that made you leave. There's always that thing of, okay, I know this now. Now that I know it, I can't unknow it. Yeah. What's that story?
Well, I really do believe that we've got a hurting world. That there is a lot of feelings of rejection, a lot of feelings of abandonment, a lot of feelings of insecurity, unworthy. I think no matter how polished it looks, even if it's in the upper class, I think there's a quiet hurt and angst and looking for answers. That my Ramsey position was a little bit more financial, a little bit of life, but a really financial stewardship space. And I just felt the story behind the financial behavior is actually a worldview and a perspective that is shaping the way that you spend, save, and invest.
Right.
And I think I wanted to get more to the heart behind finances, that I feel like I could reach them in church. And I also saw that after 9/11, back years ago, how the country really clinged to God and got to church. And I just felt this in my spirit, like this like pre-awakening. I won't say revival. I'm not going to go that far, but like a pre-awakening that was kind of in our midst. And I wanted to be on the front lines of that. I felt like there's an inquisitiveness, there's an openness, even with changes in leadership at the top of our nation. I feel like there's an openness to Christianity right now. I wanted to be on the front lines of that. So I kind of sensed all that was coming. And I'm like, I want to be part of that. So I don't know if it broke my heart as much as it was I saw it all around me and was like, I want to be part of the solution.
You know, folks ask me if I'm optimistic or pessimistic because there are certain numbers that will lead you to be pessimistic.
Yeah.
My response is I'm more optimistic now than ever.
Yeah.
Because all the questions are Jesus questions.
Yeah.
Identity, purpose, meaning, hope, all of those are Jesus questions.
Yeah.
And if any time in our life, it should be now that we are bold in the proclamation of the gospel and how that is lived out.
Yeah, I'd say that probably the two things we teach at our church to the adults and to the students the most. We're going to be in two veins the most. You're talking about a big Bible with lots of topics. The two that we hit the most are the goodness of God, like the love of God, like that to form your behavior. So instead of behavior modification, we kind of pull up 30,000 feet. Like you've got to know that God is for you and that you have a loving Father who wants what's best for you. And the second thing is identity, what you just hit on. The fact that to know who you really are. This spending behavior, it's not you.
Yeah.
This Friday night behavior, it's not you. This is the way you're talking to your spouse. That's not you. Here's who you really are. You're a child of God. You are a masterpiece. You're wonderfully made. And to be able to let them know that, and there are some critique out there. That's just a lot of positivity. I'm like, you know what? Accuse me of that. Like, how's behavior modification working for you?
Yeah.
You know. So if I can get them with the proper identity. This weekend I spoke on pride, and that was kind of a hard one for all of us to swallow. So we'll hit the tough subjects of like, here's how pride shows up. But guys, if you really know about what God wants for you, and you know your identity in Him, you're not prideful. You're a vessel being used by Him.
You don't have to fake it.
Yeah, so we're really big on like, you can come here, you can be messy, and we do reach the 50, 60-year Christian, but we also reach the guy that's, was in a gang fight last night or in the club, and they're all sitting next to each other, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell the best way, Jenny and I had twin boys. The best way that we disciplined Chris and Craig was to sit down with them and say, we have literally known you before you were born. We have the sonogram pictures.
Yeah.
We picked you out before you were born.
Now, you didn't get the 3D ones, though, because you're kind of way back there.
That's right. Yeah, we just got the old black and white, the old Polaroids kind of thing.
I can't believe they had them then.
Yeah, but we've known you. This is who you are. Yeah. This behavior doesn't match who we know you to be.
Yeah. And when they get that realization, the light bulb goes off. They're like, I had no idea it could be this fun. I thought I was just trying to be good enough. And I was trying to behave the right way and be accepted in the circle. And so now they just come like, Pastor Chris.
It's the difference between hitting the notes and playing the music.
Yes, come on. That's a good analogy. I like that. Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's actually been a lot of fun pastoring this way. Instead of feeling like I've got to micromanage everyone's behavior, I just got to teach them a worldview and a perspective that's biblical. That then I think we get the desired behaviors when I'm not around, not just when I am around, because Jesus is always around.
That's right.
So it's like I want them to be inspired by their identity, not dictated by my lecture.
Right.
Yeah. So
what's the future for the well?
It's funny. This weekend, coming up is Vision Weekend, and so I've kind of been putting those thoughts together. And I'm not really as crazy about like controlling the what, as far as what it looks like, the strategy. But I'm very, very mindful of the how, which is our values, and the why, our vision of what we're going after. And for me, it's just Thy kingdom come, His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. What does that look like? For me, I want to create not 5,000 attendees.
Right.
The Great Commission wasn't for us to go out and
build a crowd,
build a church attendees. It was to build disciples, or we like to say Christ-like kingdom leaders. That's a code for disciples. But for me, the future is whether it's the 18 and under crowd or it's adults. I want Christ-like kingdom leaders. That's my why. That's why I wake up every morning. And the how is our values, how just trying to like shape culture. We're still trying to figure out who we are. This will drive everyone listening nuts. To this day, we're 4 years old, actually 4 years old next weekend. We still don't have a vision, a mission statement, or values. And I'm relaying them this weekend for the first time. So
now I would challenge you in that you don't have them written down.
Come on. Yep.
But you have them.
Yep.
Because I've known you enough, I've known the well enough, I have known members of your congregation enough that there are certain things that you talk about, there are certain ways that you do that everybody affiliated with you know.
Yeah.
You just hadn't written them down anywhere.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And some of that is just kind of like, treading water, trying to keep up with the growth.
That's right, yeah.
Short-staffed. And I think a lot of our listeners know what I'm talking about. just busting my can. I'm like, okay, that's something that can hold off. But my prayer is when I go to deliver that this Sunday, that they go, yes, that's who we are. That's who we've been. You just finally put words to it.
Right.
And my prayer is that there's not any like head tilts of like, huh? That's not who we are.
I've never heard that before.
That will be tragic. But yeah, so my future is I just want to be obedient. Holly and I have put ourselves in a financial position, again, kudos to Ramsey doing that for 20 years where I don't feel like I need.
You were there for 20 years?
Well, what's that? No. I followed Dave for 20 years.
Okay, yeah.
I was only there for 4,
Yeah.
But I've followed Ramsey for as long as I can remember, and you put his principles to work for that long.
Get an envelope.
Yes. So I'm not like desperate that it has to be a certain size or a certain. I just love that freedom of like wherever the Holy Spirit leads. I'm just being obedient, trying to stay out of the way and trying to keep a humble posture of like, God, what do you have next for me? And I'm not saying that to be cliche on a podcast. I think if you were to pull my staff together and ask them, that's who we are. It's just stay out of the way. Don't do anything stupid, and just be obedient when he leads. And I don't want to put a what on it, and what it becomes. I want to be a tower of refuge for our city, our county. For that, okay, when I'm hurting, I want to go there. They're going to accept me. They're going to love on me, and they're going to minister to me with excellence, not performance, but like they're going to care for me and my family, and they're going to love on me. And you know what? When I go and I engage with God there, I'm actually going to have fun also. It doesn't have to be either or. Like, let's have fun. Let's have a blast. So we're very casual, and if somebody happens to be watching this online, like I'm just a casual guy, super chill. Like I'm not taking myself too seriously. So we're just having a blast. I'm actually trying not to call it church because that puts me in this like professional, like psychological space.
Especially in this area.
Yeah.
Where there is so much professional Christianity in the greater Nashville area.
I don't like the way that feels. And so for me, I'm like, obviously we got a lot of growth here, but God, I feel like I'm a godly husband, a godly father, and I want to serve my city well. And so I went and signed a lease on a building, and here we are. And it's like, I just want to love my city, and it can be that simple. I don't need a formula.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not easy.
Yeah. Right, but it doesn't have to be complicated.
It's simple, but not necessarily easy. One of the things I tell people is that when you come to the church, God will give you a new family, especially if you've grown up in a broken home or like stuff. But God will give you new parents. So how many children do you and Holly have?
Oh man,
okay.
It's a lot.
I don't have any biological daughters, but I have lots of daughters.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny. Somebody called me a spiritual father one time, and I went down this rabbit hole of researching spiritual father online. And if you do that, this is a polarizing subject. There are 50% that really get mad when you use the word spiritual father because we only have one father, and he's enough. And saying that we have spiritual fathers here on earth is saying that he's not enough. I'm like, come on, that's like plain semantics here. But I do feel like they look up to me like a dad. Yeah. I would say 75% of them, and that sounds strong. It sounds like I'm exaggerating. 75% of them have a broken home or
Right.
a dad that is only into their kids' performance and their SAT score and where they go to college and doesn't really actually care for them like daily, like love on them, build them up, disciple them, might even be 85%. And so they're leaning on me more than their dad. And of course, I'm trying to redirect that.
Right.
It's actually, when I say me, it's actually not me anymore because we have a volunteer team of 60 that lead those 240.
Right.
So, and many of them are really, really godly dads. So they're looking to all of them. And I've kind of turned into the grandpa, not the dad. So now there's actually a bunch of spiritual dads that are running around taking people out to breakfast and taking them to the lake and spending time with them doing Bible studies.
Right.
But I would say it feels like right now, to answer your question, I feel like I have about 300 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we kind of probably maybe 400 or 500 rotating within the month.
Right.
That it's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But it's a weight.
One of the things people need to realize is that when you say you're the pastor of a 250 member church, that's really closer to 800.
Yeah.
By the time the first and third Sunday Baptist and the second and fourth Sunday Baptist, there's a lot of people that come through.
It's so true. And I've got some that say, I've been going to the well for years. I'm like, I have no clue who you are, or I've never seen you. Yeah, you probably went twice, 3 times. You're crazy.
Or maybe watch you on YouTube.
Yes, exactly.
And would consider you to be their pastor.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
Give me the 2 or 3 things that picking on our buddy Ramsey. He's big into leadership, big into the financial freedom and all of that. So what are the handful of things that mark success for Chris Brown?
Wow, when you mentioned Ramsey, I immediately went to how I see him and how I value him as a leader, and he actually is a great model for me. The things that I would like. So people ask me what do you think Ramsey's biggest strength is, and they think I'm going to say finances, and it's like 5th or 6th on my list. He's an amazing grandpa, an amazing parent, an amazing leader, an amazing marketer. Right? I mean, I think he could sell that trash can over there.
Incredible convener.
Yeah.
He can make a couple of phone calls.
Yeah.
And everything happens.
Yeah, he's a curator of community. And then there's finance. And so for me, I want that to be like when you're saying what are the things that make up Chris Brown, I don't want it to be like the end thing that I do.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like you're a good teacher or you're a good preacher or for me, I really do feel in the fivefold ministry, I'm naturally wired. It's not even, it's unmistakable. I'm a shepherd, and that's what I am first. And then it's amazing that I taught and taught for Ramsey because I'm actually not a good teacher or speaker. But I'd have a lot of people at my church that would say, don't speak that over yourself. But anyway, another topic. I think I want to just, my legacy would be that somebody who, Luke 6:31 says, treat others like you'd like to be treated. Like I did the next right thing. I think whenever I had a chance to go right or left or to make a decision, I made the decision that was honoring to God. I was obedient. Even launching a church, it was on a run. And I was listening to a song called Rattle by Elevation Church, and it was like these dead bones come alive, and it was all about he's still got, and it scared the mess out of me. I've always been a number 2. I've always been a number 3, like what I was at Ramsey, like kind of lifting up his brand and lifting up Ramsey Solutions and making him some good money. And I was like, I've always been that guy. And it's like, and it was this time, it's like, Chris, no, it's your turn to, I'm like, no, it's not my turn. And so I think just being willing to do the hard things and being willing to, that's a guy who really was Holy Spirit inspired and Holy Spirit led. And that would be like my biggest legacy, I think. He led his kids well. He served his city well. He led his wife well. He was very uneducated, probably got a 5 on his SAT, but man, did he overperform for his intelligence.
Listen, you just told us about a church full of people who don't know who they are, who question their abilities, who don't feel good about themselves, and you spent the last 5 minutes of this podcast talking about you're not a good teacher, but you obviously are. And now
it's amazing how.
Do you listen to anything you preach?
Right? That's what he just called me out. I didn't know I was sitting with Dr. Phil, y'all. I'm right here, eyeball to eyeball with Dr. Phil. Just read my mail. Man, brutal. I'm sure there's no preachers listening that have any problems with this either.
No. In fact, I was talking with a group of guys the other day, and they said, how do you go about a good sermon? I said, I gave up trying to figure out if it was a good sermon or not. Because I would come with what, this sermon is a work of art. It needs to be under glass somewhere, and there would be crickets.
Right? Isn't that the way it is?
Nothing would be said about that sermon.
Yep.
And I would walk out apologizing to God and say, okay, I'll go back to law school. I have totally misread this thing. This is the worst sermon ever. And people would stop me in the and the grocery store, just, hey man, do you know when you said that my wife and I've been talking about that all week, and you're going, I just gave up.
Right? That is so true. That's so true. I've got the same story. The more insecure I am that I talk, the more good feedback I get.
Yeah, that's weird stuff. That's good stuff. Mm-hmm. This is the Engaged Church Network podcast, and we're grateful you have joined us. This is Chris Brown. He is a great guy, pastor of the Well in Columbia. If you're in that area, that'd be a great church for you to be checking out this weekend. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for tuning in to the Engaged Church Network podcast. We exist to train healthy and skilled leaders for congregations throughout Middle Tennessee. If today's episode helped you, share it with a fellow leader. And don't forget to visit engagedchurchnetwork.com for more ways to grow.